Alrighty. Hello everyone. For today's featured liner, we're going to be looking at a lesser known P&O liner. This is 1911's Medina. This ship was part of a substantial class of vessels known as the M class because, as you guessed it, all the names of those ships started with M. Medina was among the last to be completed, and this whole class was part of a massive upgrade in terms of the quality of ships servicing Australia from the UK. P&O's arch competitor, Orient, had also produced a series of fine vessels during this time, and even Union Steamship Company of New Zealand had to compete as well, and 2 years later they introduced their magnificent Niagara. Medina, as it was being completed, was approached by royal authorities, and they requested P&O to borrow their ship and adjust it a little bit so that it can be used as a royal yacht for King George V and Queen Mary's visit to India. And P&O naturally said yes. So, while the ship was still in the shipyard getting its finishing touches, a few more changes were made to it. The livery went from your customary P&O at the time, from your black hull and buff bronze superstructure, to this rather elegant white hull with a beautiful blue thin stripe across the hull, 3 masts. A third mast had to be borrowed from another ship. There was a decree that Royal Yachts had to have 3 masts. That wasn't applied to the Gothic in 1953. However, for both Medina and when the new yacht Britannia was launched, they all had to have 3 masts, apparently to accommodate the extra flags. And of course, some of the interiors of the Medina were tweaked so that they could be of royal quality and of course to service the staff. In this guise, the Medina entered service and did as it was tasked to do, and delivered King George V and Queen Mary to India on their epic voyage. Once that tour had ended and they no longer needed the Medina, that third mast was taken off and the ship's royal appointments were stripped out and its regular P&O furnishings were put back in, which was still quite luxurious. And in the regular P&O colours, Medina continued on with its life. However, its life would be very short, for on the 20th of April 1917, while operating as a troopship, the Medina was torpedoed by submarine UB-31. And sadly, the ship sank. It was a career cut short thanks to the war. But despite being afloat for only 6 years, Medina made a splash, appearing first in all of its glory as a royal yacht before joining its other sisters on the run to Australia. Now, there's plenty of books about P&O, and I will be featuring more P&O ships down the track, so I won't provide all books for reference here. But in terms of Medina, there are 2 books I do want to highlight. As a royal yacht, I want to highlight this book by Alan Major, which is quite literally what it says, Royal Yachts. It is a compilation of vessels that have been used as royal yachts. It's not limited to the British royal family, but other royal families, and there's a chapter in there about presidential yachts as well, yachts for dictators, and not just purpose-built yachts, but also those like the Medina and the Gothic, ocean liners that were converted and operated as temporary royal yachts. So this book has some beautiful photographs of the Medina's interior as a yacht. I haven't seen some of these photos in other sources anywhere else. And I do also want to highlight this book because I bought this book as a very young lad many decades ago on the pure basis of the ship on the front cover, which is the Medina as a Royal Yacht. This book is the story of P&O when it turned 150, and it's not a technical history, it's rather more of a social history. So if you are interested in understanding what it was like to travel on P&O during the early 20th century, as well as what it was like to be a crew member, then this book is well worth checking out, because that's what it is. It's a social history. What was life like on board the ships during this time, and some of the adventures and hijinks that occurred during that time. And it's only appropriate that I highlight this book because it was only through this book that I actually learnt about the Medina. So there you have it. A little known liner that had a great start and a sad and all too untimely end. P&O's Medina.